Previously on Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix Challenge Mode. Yeah, that seems about right.
Oh? Oh? Look! A star's going out!
Come on, let's hurry! Where's that key?
Hey, maybe we ought to go find Leon. Oh, Donald, I bet you that,
What do you know, you big palooka?
what do I know? Come on, Pluto!
Huh? What a dream. Ah! This isn't a dream. Oh, where am I? Oh, boy. Do you know where we are? Oh, hey!
We've finally reached the outside world. Hello, everybody! CSF Watson here again, and welcome back to this newest episode of Challenge Mode. Last time we finished up Destiny Islands, and now, like Sora said, we're in another world. Ah, good old Traverse Town. The second most repeated world in all the Kingdom Hearts games, second only to the Olympus Coliseum. Stepping out into a big world that's really unknown to a person, that's another way that I personally relate to Sora. Up through middle school, I went to a private Christian school, and then my folks transferred me into a public school. And that was a really big transition for me. Not just because of oh, they wear regular street clothes every day instead of a uniform, but also for the way that students interacted with one another. Ah, and speaking of interactions, a quick side tangent as we step into the accessory shop for the first time. And meet Sid. This is another deviation that the manga takes. Sora doesn't meet Sid until he sees the Heartless again, and then Sid actually clears out the Heartless for Sora. And then after this conversation in the manga, that is exactly when Sora meets Leon. But that obviously won't happen for another few minutes here because that's how the game is structured. Swinging back to my original discussion point of private school versus public school though, it was very different to see the different interactions that each offered. With the private school, it was mostly the same group of people from the same community, but with public school, it was a lot of different groups of people from different walks of the same town I grew up in, and that was a unique interaction. And especially the swearing, my gosh. At the private school, if a student swore, the kids reacted as if you had summoned Voldemort or had invoked the wrath of God or something. At the public school, it almost sounded as if I was talking to swearing sailors. And yet, in that same mindset, it was kinda good for me, similar to Sora going out and seeing the world at large, because it gave me a sense of what was out there instead of what I was used to the whole time. That is obviously a major driving point for the story, and the main reason for Riku's descent into the darkness, because he wanted to find what was out there. He wasn't content with what he used to know back on the island. And of course, in the story as well as real life, it can sort of have a double-edged sword effect, like we see here. That level of curiosity of wanting to see what lied beyond this world is what led to Riku getting possessed later in the game, as well as the overall influx of Heartless created by Ansem Seeker of Darkness when he wanted to try and find out what was more despite the fact that he had no memories. And something I can equate to my own life, swinging back around to the conversation about private school versus public school, while I did get a better appreciation and understanding of the world at large around me, I also did have moments where I sort of questioned why things were the way they were. I always swung back around to things were a lot more morally guided back at the private school. People understood the difference between right and wrong, or so I thought. Not that they were actually wrong the whole time, or that my beliefs changed and I thought, oh, they were wrong and I was just following along because I was sheep or anything like that, but rather I gained a wider understanding of different beliefs and understandings and created a wider array of how I understood the world as compared to when I did back in private school. That general mindset started obviously when I started in public school from middle school to high school, but it expanded greatly when I got to college. A completely new town separate from the one I grew up in. A whole wide range of people from not just different parts of my same small town growing up, but also from different corners of my state, country, and different parts of the world even in some cases. It all helped me grow as a person and meet people I never thought I would ever be able to meet in my life. And speaking of people having yet to meet, I enjoy so much that they included this little gimmick right here. You're trying to figure out where to go in the game, but every time you go down to a different room, Donald and Goofy are just right behind you. I think for some reason in my head, I thought I could catch them when I first played this on the PS2. That I could just, oh, let me just go back and find them, not realizing it was a gimmick. It's even more embarrassing because Sora meets Donald and Goofy the same way in this game as he does in the manga, so I should have known right from the get-go how exactly I'm supposed to meet them. Alright, I've done enough running around trying to get extra EXP. Let's head back to Sid's and try to advance the story. Another interesting aspect of this game, this is the only time in all of Kingdom Hearts 1 where Heartless spawn in the first district. But hey, in a challenge mode like this one, EXP is really appreciated, especially as we get closer to the first boss here in Traverse Town. And after a little bit more grinding, we'll go check in with Sid and get ready for the first boss. The one thing that kind of bugs me about this, given Sid's dialogue here that triggers the boss fight, in the manga it makes sense. Sora encounters a Heartless, he runs into the shop, he gets the explanation of what's going on, and then he runs into Leon.
They'll come at you out of nowhere,
Who are you?
and they'll keep on coming at you, as long as you continue to wield the Keyblade. But why? Why would it choose a kid like you?
Hey, what's that supposed to mean?
Never mind. Now, let's see that Keyblade.
What? There's no way you're getting this.
Alright, then have it your way.
When I played this on the PS2 for the first time, I was running in circles trying to figure out how do I trigger Leon, how do I trigger Leon? Because in the manga, it was all sequential. Heartless, Sid, Leon. I did not know I had to go back to the accessory shop and talk to Sid again and get the generic dialogue for this to trigger. I had to just try to stumble into it the first time I played through it back in high school. And when I did finally find Leon, I got my teeth kicked in. Leon is a surprisingly tough boss for an early game. He is one of the handful of story bosses that doesn't require victory in order to progress the story, but compared to the other ones like Sabor and Cloud and a few others, it's surprisingly tricky to beat him. If you don't have enough potions, like I managed to collect on Destiny Islands, you might be hurting for a bit.
I can lose.
Now you're gonna get...
Oh, you're slipping, Leon.
I went easy on him. Looks like things are worse than we thought. A lot worse.
Another quick small manga factoid, while the final mix version of this cutscene was only in Japan up until the HD re-release, this cutscene was actually visible within the Kingdom Hearts 1 manga in the initial United States release.
Gosh, there's nobody here. Sure is spooky.
Actually, I'm not scared.
Excuse me, did the king send you?
Come on, lazy bum. Wake up. You okay?
I guess.
Those creatures that attacked you are after the Keyblade. But it's your heart they really want. Because you wield the Keyblade.
I'm so glad that you're okay, Kairi.
Kairi? Who are you talking about? I'm the great ninja Yuffie. I think you might have overdone it, Squall.
That's Leon.
The Keyblade.
Yeah, we had to get it away from you to shake off those creatures. It turns out that's how they were tracking you.
It was the only way to conceal your heart from them. But it won't work for long. Still, hard to believe that you, of all people, are the chosen one.
Oh,
Well, I suppose beggars can't be choosers.
why don't you start making sense? What's going on here?
Okay, you know there are many other worlds out there besides your castle in this town, right?
Yeah?
But they're supposed to be a secret.
They've been secret because they've never been connected. Until now. When the Heartless came, everything changed.
The Heartless?
The ones who attacked you, you remember?
Those without hearts.
The darkness in people's hearts. That's what attracts them.
And there is darkness within every heart.
Hey, have you heard of someone named Ansem?
And Sam?
He was studying the Heartless. He recorded all of his findings in a very detailed report.
Gosh, can we see it?
Its pages are scattered everywhere.
Scattered?
Too many worlds.
Oh, then maybe the king went to find them.
Yes, those were my thoughts exactly.
We've got to find him quick.
Red! First we need the key.
That's right. The Keyblade.
So, this is the key.
Exactly.
The Heartless have great fear of the Keyblade. That's why they'll keep coming after you, no matter what.
Well, I didn't ask for this.
The Keyblade chooses its master, and it chose you.
So, tough luck.
How did all this happen? I remember being in my room. Wait a minute! What happened to my home? My island? Riku! Kairi!
You know what? I really don't know.
Man, that was a lot of cutscene to get through. I wanted to talk about something real quick that a lot of people think is a retcon. People talk about, oh, the Keyblade was supposed to be this super powerful thing that only chose its wielder and it's like the Master Sword or something. But given the advent of future games, we find out that the Keyblade is surprisingly abundant. While this is a retcon of sorts, I don't think it's one that completely breaks the story of the game. Keep in mind, around the time of Kingdom Hearts 1, the legend of the Keyblade itself had mostly faded into obscurity. The only true recorded history of the Keyblade available to the worlds at large was the Ansem reports, and even then they weren't entirely accurate because Ansem the Wise was himself not a Keyblade wielder, and he never met with Mickey enough to get more than just those legends. It wasn't until we met characters like Yen Sid where the legacy of the Keyblade became a lot more clear and a lot more defined. And that in my mind is a good enough reason as to why Leon and Yuffie and the others would only know so much about the Keyblade. Now as for why Mickey told Donald and Goofy to go after a specific key, while admittedly another retcon within itself, given the lore of Kingdom Hearts, it does make sense that if the Kingdom Key D is supposed to be the Keyblade to the Realm of Darkness, the Kingdom Key is the Keyblade of the Realm of Light. And speaking of the darkness and the light...
Yuffie, go!
Yuffie!
Sora, let's go.
I recognize that the Final Fantasy protagonist has given a suggestion. However, given this a stupid suggestion, I have elected to ignore it. This is a great spot to get some EXP before the final boss of Traverse Town, but something else I want to bring up real quick. In the manga, the small fry bit always confused me because I thought Leon was talking about Sora, not necessarily the Heartless he was fighting. But now that I've actually played the game and gotten better context, it makes a lot more sense. The dark side notwithstanding, Sora has mostly only fought grunts, and in canon they have been tough for him to fight. Versus Leon, they're like, these guys are easy, just leave them be. And he's like, are you kidding me? But hey, EXP is EXP, so let's skip ahead real quick. Excellent. And now with that out of the way, it's time for the final boss of Traverse Town.
Oh. Gosh, are these the Heartless guys?
Let's go get him! Goofy!
A key!
We finally got the trio. Another stipulation I'm adding for this challenge run, obviously when you go to different Disney worlds you get Disney companions like Aladdin, Tarzan, Jack Skellington, etc, etc. For this run, unless I am required to by the game, I will not be using any other party members other than Donald and Goofy. And if the game does require me to use a Disney companion, but use Donald and Goofy as well, then I will be using Donald because he dies easiest. Something I haven't talked about a whole lot just yet, mostly because we've been fighting almost nothing but pure-blood Heartless, is the color palette swaps that the Heartless have between the original game and Final Mix. Most of the Heartless in the original game are purple, so I think this was a good decision to try and add a bit more originality and creativity to the Heartless, because this Heartless, the Guardian Armor is purple in the original game, the Parasite Cage and Monstro's purple, the large bodies are purple, the soldiers are purple, everybody's purple! This is a good way to inject some originality and give each of the Heartless more of a unique identity other than just their general looks. And given the general accessibility of the Final Mix versions as opposed to the original versions, especially in the modern day, I find it really surprising that the original Heartless designs were used for Kingdom Hearts 3. The large bodies, soldiers, and other Heartless are purple again in the base game of Kingdom Hearts 3. While I believe there probably is a mod for the PC version to give the Heartless the color coding of the Final Mix versions, I'm kinda surprised that after the DLC there wasn't an option to sort of have a Final Mix version of the game since it is arguably the definitive version. Square is probably not going to do a Final Mix version of Kingdom Hearts 3 until it's time for the inevitable Kingdom Hearts 3.5 to come out for the PlayStation 6, but it's something interesting to think about. In terms of this boss fight, one thing that surprised me when I played this for the first time on the PS2 was how easy it was to actually do damage to the core of the Heartless. When I played Chain of Memories for the first time on the Game Boy, the stipulation of that boss was, oh, you have to defeat the arms and legs before you can even damage the torso. Here it's like, oh, you can damage the hands and legs if you want, but the torso is your main target here. Oh, and speaking of which, the torso just killed me. That's our first official death of the game. Well then, now we gotta go through all those extra Heartless again, so let's speed things up once more. And a few more good hits, and the first boss goes down, and another level up. We'll take those.
So, you were looking for me?
They too have been seeking the wielder of the Keyblade.
Hey, why don't you come with us? We can go to other worlds on our vessel.
I wonder if I could find Riku and Kairi.
Of course.
Are you sure?
Who knows? But we need them to come with us to help us find the kid.
Sora, go with them. Especially if you want to find your friends.
Yeah, I guess.
But you can't come along looking like that. Understand?
Oh?
No frowning, no sad face, okay?
Yeah, you gotta look funny, like us. Yup. Whoa.
This boat runs on happy faces.
Happy?
That's one funny face.
Okay, why not? I'll go with you guys.
Donald Duck.
Name's Goofy.
I'm Sora.
All for one, one for all.
That little squirt took down that Heartless. Who'd have thought it?
Such is the power of the Keyblade. The child's strength is not his own.
Why don't we turn him into a Heartless? That'll settle things quick enough.
And the brat's friends are the king's lackeys. Slug on the eyes, they're all bilge rats by the look of them.
You're no prize yourself.
Shut up!
Enough! The Keyblade has chosen him. Will it be he who conquers the darkness? Or will the darkness swallow him? Either way, he could be quite useful.
Alright, with all of that done and out of the way, it's time to get our final provision set before we head out to the Disney Worlds. The gang here at Traverse Town will give us some money and some general items. And now for also our first actual elixir of the game, our first useful item. You can only get this elixir from Leon if you beat him. If you don't get it. A nice item for sure, but not great for early game. Meanwhile, we meet up with Donald and Goofy and are made aware of the Gummy Ship, arguably the worst portion of Kingdom Hearts 1. It'll be easier to talk about the Gummy Ship itself once we actually are flying it, but in the meantime, we first get from Donald our first spell. This is once again different from the manga, but I'm going to talk about that more once we reach Wonderland. And then after that, we get Dodge Roll. At long last, we have a defensive ability, thank goodness. But other than that, all we have to do is just get a few provisions, look around, and then we're off. Jiminy Cricket reminding everybody that the journal exists for the completionists out there, and we're ready. After beating the boss, you won't find any Heartless in Traverse Town until you return, so if you want to go around town and try to see if you can find any treasure chests or other items around the area, this is your best opportunity. But before we continue exploring, I wanted to talk about something I kind of alluded to when I initially met Tidus, Selphie, and Wakka on Destiny Islands, and it especially applies to Leon, Aerith, Yuffie, Cid, and the other Final Fantasy characters that we will meet during the course of our adventure. When I first saw these characters in the manga, I honestly thought these characters were Kingdom Hearts originals. Like I said, I did not have any experience with Square Enix or Final Fantasy or anything like that. So I also could have thought the only reason that these guys have such spiky hair is because, oh, it's obvious. They're also Kingdom Hearts originals. What else could it possibly be? Thankfully, I did learn what Final Fantasy was, and all these characters were cameos before I made a fool of myself in front of a bunch of friends in high school. And with that out of the way, we'll go through the big doors, and the wide open world of Disney Worlds awaits us. Thank you so much once again for watching this episode of Challenge Mode, and we will be heading off to Wonderland next time, so please like, share, and subscribe for whenever we do finally reach Wonderland, and I will see you guys next time.